big if, we can free up some venture capital to help commercialize these things. You know, I took a lot of criticism for going on this trip to China, where we went to learn about how we were losing our competitive advantage. And we met people, and I know people locally, who have sold the rights to their product for a mere couple of $100,000 because they couldn't get the investment capital they needed to produce a prototype and a business plan. It's ridiculous.
It happens a lot.
And here they are. They've lost the whole Asian rights to this fiber optic product when, if we could have done that here, so this year we proposed to the governor to create a new technology seed fund, which we had in the budget, but it got cut because of all of the cuts we needed to make. But it would have been $25 million that would have gone to businesses like the fellow with the fiber optic, so he would have done it here in New York. And then we have incentives for them to be manufactured here. So we have examples of that. I can point to several places, more than several locally, where it's working.
Well, I'm sorry if I cut you off. No. But it feeds into something else I want to ask, to clarify a little bit, and I think you did a little bit. But one of the things you've mentioned, again, it's on your website as well for people to look over. You mentioned that one of your goals is to develop an innovation-based economy, which I think is part of what you're saying here. But I think most voters will hear that and say, what exactly does that mean? What is an innovation-based economy? How does that work?
Yes, well, most of them who are perhaps older than I am lived through an innovation-based economy when IBM was the thing, and when linked flight simulation was the thing. I mean, the place was booming because we were building things again. This was the place for ideas. It still is. We just have lost all of the good ideas because our economy has been so co-opted by the Chinese, for example, and other countries that have taken advantage of our creativity and are starting to produce things. One of the things I learned when I was in China, they envy us for our creativity. Not for our ability to build things, because they said, thank you very much, we'll take this idea.
And we'll do it.
We've got a way of doing it. Never mind the environment, never mind labor laws, never mind everybody else, because we've got 100 workers. I mean, 2,600 people, by the way, were killed in Chinese mining accidents last year. They've got 2,600 more people come right behind them. If that ever happened in America,
everyone lose their minds.
Go crazy. But here we are. So innovation-based economy, basically like it once was. And if you go to Endicott Interconnect, if you talk to people at high-tech industries or innovation associates, they're there.
Okay.
They're there. It's just, it hasn't reached the magnitude that we want it to, because business community also needs to step up. It can't all be from government handing breaks, tax breaks. You know, we had to reform a lot of programs because we weren't getting the dollar-for-dollar value. But now, we've put in some safeguards. We've retooled some of these programs. If we can get some more money in and lend some assistance with breaks, but not all that. We also need the banks to free up some money, you know.
Well, it starts getting complicated there.
Exactly.
We could have this, just on this alone, we could have a very long conversation.
But that's what I mean by innovation-based. But also it has a lot to do with energy conservation, energy efficiency, and the innovations that will bring us to a new energy future.
Okay.
And that's something they're doing at Binghamton University. I'm dying to bring students up there to their Center for Autonomous Solar Power. The kids would be beside themselves to see some of the innovations and inventions that are coming out of our own hometown. It's really impressive.
So it's perhaps more technical, but
yes.
The auto age of America, the growth of the auto companies, trying to find that new next similar kind of phase.
But another way of going back too is realizing the importance of local agriculture. I think people really miss the point of what happens upstate. It's it's probably number 2 most productive industry in the state, next to Wall Street.
Yes.
Well, Wall Street was booming, but even so, it's still a big deal. We are a fabulous producer of foods, and there's a big movement right now to recover our local economies based on not only food production, but on food products. You know, high-end yogurts, big movement in Syracuse and Buffalo now to grow hops, and local
the wineries
beer,
are picking up on
wineries.
that.
So I think you'll see a lot around food production and that sort of marketing too.
Okay. Something I just thought of was in my questions here. Would you be opposed to cutting corporate taxes, though? Because we haven't mentioned that yet.
No,
I know she didn't mention that.
No, not at all.
That.
No, not at all. I think we need to look at all of that, all of the burdens that are preventing growth from occurring, and I certainly would support that.
Okay.
What I'm not interested in is rolling back environmental regulations.
Oh, no.
No, that's my thing with corporations. You know, we want to make it easier for you to do your work, but that's not the area we're going to make it easier.
No, I can understand that, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's good that you have that conviction. I love conviction. Let me see, I have only one or two more questions here.
Okay.
But again, it's related a lot in what we've been speaking about back and forth. But it's also a hot button issue that affects people individually on the consumer level, on the state and national level. And that would be the cap and trade bill. And in that I mean, I know that you have a great concern for the environment. You've mentioned it many times. It's in your record. I know that you stated that you want to lower energy use amongst consumers, which is one of the key provisions of the cap and trade bill. One of the other effects of the cap and trade bill is proposed and estimated, so we can't say for sure, that there could be a 150% increase to the average consumer in their electric bills, which is one of the ways in which they would lower energy use. Now, I don't believe that's what you mean.
That's certainly not the way I think we should be going.
Okay.
No doubt about it.
What is your count? What is your way of lowering the energy use?
Lowering energy? Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad. Lowering energy? Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad you're not asking me to unpack the cap and trade, because that's obviously quite a conundrum.
And it's more national, so
well,
I don't know if that's appropriate. It's relative.
We are trying some innovative things here in Broome County around this issue. Senator Libous and I each passed the same bill last year, creating the Binghamton Energy Revolving Loan Fund, where Binghamton wanted to take some stimulus money, and instead of just giving it to homeowners to retrofit their homes, make them more energy efficient, they wanted to find a way to loan them the money, and then they would repay it back, and then that money would go out to other people. And that's an interesting model. We've got some difficulties trying to figure out how to administer that program. But ideas like that, where we go into people's homes and really try to do, I know it sounds so simple, and I know other people have been made fun of when they talk about weatherization, but
yes.
I have just recently participated in a trial program that the group is trying locally, where they go into people's homes and do an energy audit and come back with recommendations. So, and my husband just installed a new front door. Thank you very much as a result of that audit. But so hopefully it will reduce some of our energy. We're switching, of course, to more energy efficient light bulbs, which presents a whole new problem because of the mercury in those.
Yes.
I'm going to be introducing legislation next year about guidelines for disposal of these things, because they drop on the floor and there's mercury floating around. So I think the focus there has to be on helping people lower their energy bills and giving people breaks to replace their old boilers and make it easy for them to.
So it's kind of like your position on food. Give the people the information, give them the option, and then let them make that choice.
Yes, but also reach into people's homes. There are a lot of people in our community who are focused on putting a meal on the table and just keeping the lights on and going to work.
Yes.
They don't have time for people coming in and looking
quite
at
a
the
few
windows
people, especially in this
all this
market.
stuff. So we want to try to make it easier and get that information to people who need it the most, who may not be readily searching online for ways of getting their homes energy efficient. And there are a lot of groups that are ready to step in to try to reduce those energy costs. But also, we have to avoid some of the bright ideas some of my colleagues have come up with, where they have put they've increased the utility tax.
Yes.
And
which passes on to the consumer.
yes, I opposed that, and then of course the utility decided to put a nice bright colored flyer into the, thank you to your state legislator for, for increasing your utility tax. I wish they had said, not all of them supported this and would have wanted this to be approached a different way. Hoping we can repeal some of that. And we're really very sensitive to trying to keep, especially the hydropower credits into upstate, not get robbed down into New York City.
Right.
Try to, benefit our local ratepayers up here, but it's complicated.
Yeah, it's no easy. I give you that. There's no easy way to tackle that.
No, but we don't want people to have to be spending more on electricity than they already are.
Thank you. I like that because I have internet-based business, lots of electricity.
Yeah, we have no idea what some of our local manufacturers are coping with. We struggle on a daily basis to keep them here. So we can just go over to Pennsylvania and pay a much cheaper per kilowatt rate.
Absolutely. It's too much stuff to just go over in one interview, and the amount of time that we have, especially with the schedule, with the election coming up and all, and the work that you do every day.
Well, if I'm lucky enough to get reelected, we'll do it again.
Well, definitely. I would look forward to that. But is there anything that you believe that right now we haven't touched upon that is critical or very important for any viewers, any voters, knowing about before we get done, that they can hear about this?
Well, honestly,
we've covered a lot. We've covered a lot. I try to cover a lot.
You've covered a lot of ground. It's, I think, important for people to understand that not all politicians approach their work from a purely self-serving standpoint. It's kind of a shame to me in a way that we have boiled everything down because of our financial mess we're in. Everything's been boiled down to dollars and cents. And that's an important thing. We want to make sure that we have balanced budgets and sound decisions are made. But so much of what we do is based on values and based on what we care about. So that when public servants are automatically treated as career politicians, necessarily a bad thing, and when the public, constituents and civic-minded people become purely taxpayers, I think we do everything a big disservice. So my overall approach is to try to understand people's concerns and make sound decisions. They're not always black and white.
Right.
A lot of the things that I try to do take good ideas from all sides and move forward. So if you look at my voting record, I'm kind of all over the map a little bit. I'll vote to protect a person's right to
gun rights. Second.
On the other hand, I can be very liberal on social issues when it comes to matters of personal choice and freedom. So any cookie cutter approach is going to be doing, I think, a disservice to the public in general and to people like myself who really see this as very serious work. And I hope that the public can judge each person on the merits of what they've done and how open they are to new ideas and what they will do in the future.
We always advise people to look at the voting records of each of the candidates, especially incumbents and candidates, on the issues that they believe in, and to learn more about them. This is just the first step.
Well, if you look at my record, you would say, well, wait. If you look at my record, you would say, well, wait.
That's okay.
She's very liberal here. She's very conservative there. She's, but I think about things. Yeah. And also, it's not only about my conscience, it's also about my constituency. And sometimes the view of the constituency far outweighs some of my own considerations.
I love that answer, because that's the way I believe it should always be at the end of the day.
But if it's 50-50, I may err on the side of my conscience.
Which is fair.
Yeah,
so we thank you for this.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.